cold weather volatility. You have some information there to share tonight as well.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different situations that affects ammonia volatilization. The more moisture you have, the greater the loss. The wind and drying conditions that you have lost, and then the hotter it is, you lose more. But because we've talked about being hotter, that you lose more, a lot of people forget that even in cold weather, volatilization is not like nitrification. Volatilization deals with urease enzyme.
Yeah, you want to dispel the myth that, that cold weather means no loss.
That's right. And you see on the graph there that this was done in a controlled chamber by Auburn University at 50 degrees. It lost about 30% in 14 days. And so you can see that there's a great loss. Also, we've taken this, and, you know, people says, well, that's just in a research chamber or whatever. They took it to the field in Montana. You know, Montana's pretty cold in Montana, and so they did some studies out there, and a big, and we saw even in frozen ground in 30 and 40 degrees, we're seeing 30 to 40% loss. I think there's some graphs on that, and then the last one there shows that it was less than it's below freezing, less than 30 degrees. And
now this is the fall of 2008 here.
Yes, sir.
That we're looking at here, and you also have one that takes us to the spring, I believe.
So that shows what you can lose even in those cold conditions. Now that's 30 some odd percent, and that's pretty drastic in freezing temperatures.
Now you have some cups there. You're going to show us how this loss is really determined. Well, how researchers do it.
You know, I hear people says they can smell ammonia coming off the field and all kinds of things, but there's a real simple way for a farmer to check to see if he's getting a full benefit of his fertilizer. What you can do, you can just take any cup that you can seal up and put you some soil in the bottom of the cup, and then put your AGROTAIN stabilized urea or another urea or any other fertilizer that you're using, and you put it there, and you start smelling it, and you just puff it out. And that happened to be AGROTAIN stabilized urea. No ammonia.
No ammonia.
And this is straight urea. And there's ammonia. So there's no question that you're seeing what AGROTAIN can do. And that ammonia that's there in that cup, if it's in the field, it's gone off in the air, and the farmer's lost it.
Dennis, that brings back to you and how researchers like you determine the volatility. Share with some thoughts with us.
Well, you know, we oftentimes observe this same phenomenon about the ammonia smell that comes off of that, but we don't want to clean out our sinuses on a daily basis. We go out and actually try to quantify that in some way. We operate on a number of different methods to actually capture that. One is in a closed chamber in a lab setting or in a greenhouse setting. Sometimes we'll use those diffusion chambers there. And what you would set up is in a variety of different ways you would set this up, but it would be very analogous to what we're seeing here with the soil in the container and a little bit of moisture to get the environment going. The more accurate way to really get a handle on how much you're actually losing, we see here one in the field. Here's some rice where they're actually measuring it in the field. And there are two sponges there. The bottom sponge actually is coated with or soaked in an acid that actually traps that ammonia as it comes off the field. And the top sponge there is just to keep any kind of outside interference from occurring.
Okay.
And that's the type of chamber that we actually used in some data that I'll show you later on. And then if you go into, that's good for small plot research, but when you go out into the field, particularly the Montana data that was talked about earlier, this is the kind of field station that we would set up there. And if you look at that system that's set up with a mast, and then we have these shuttles or cups there that are set up in different directions, pointing in different directions so that they're getting background reading from the area outside of that, and then also from inside of a treated area. And usually that area needs to be about 30 meters or so in diameter is what they're measuring it from. So the combination of both of those together give us an opportunity to really quantify that in more tangible terms.
And you've been doing this for?
I started my research when I came to the University of Georgia. We started in 2007, so we just completed our 4th year of research. I'm going to be showing 2 years of that data tonight. But we've been doing this not only in forage crops, which is my background, but also looking at it in row crops and in a number of different settings as well.
And Jimmy, we're pleased, obviously, that to report whether all these tests, independent universities, whether AGROTAIN stands alone in its credibility and the results that can remain consistent.
Yes, sir. You know, there's over 180 different institutions have tested this product, and whether you use the simple method that farmers can use, a smell cup, or you use the more scientific methods that Dr. Hancock has described here, AGROTAIN is always and is the only one that is shown to control ammonia volatilization.
All right, and we are going to learn a lot more. As we mentioned, Doctor has other information to share with you. We're going to take our first break and come back and talk to Doctor and Dr. Dennis and Jimmy Johnson as well from AGROTAIN. And again, we look forward to hearing from you later in our program with your questions. We're visiting with our folks from AGROTAIN. We're going to come right back right after this. You're watching RFD-TV, rural America's most important network.
When you're missing nitrogen, you're missing a lot. On average, more than 30% of soil-applied nitrogen simply disappears. Yet study after study shows that AGROTAIN nitrogen stabilizers yield more. In 2008, 15 to 25 bushels per acre more in corn alone for just pennies per pound. Control nitrogen loss now with AGROTAIN and get back what you're missing. Ask your retailer about AGROTAIN or AGROTAIN Plus. When you apply nitrogen to your soil, on average, more than 30% is lost after application. 30% just literally disappears into thin air. So if you want healthier crops and bigger yields, the answer isn't applying more nitrogen. The answer is AGROTAIN. Ask your dealer for AGROTAIN or AGROTAIN Plus.